All right, things you didn't know, or I should say fact or fiction, about Police Academy. It was released on March 23rd, 1984. And let me find my notes here. Fact or fiction? The first Police Academy movie was inspired by a real-life police department's decision to accept any applicant, no matter how unqualified. Frank, fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fact. Why not?
Lan, fact or fiction?
I think I'll just say fiction.
Frank gets the point. Fact. The movie's concept was inspired by a real-life policy change in the early 1980s when some U.S. police departments temporarily loosened their admission standards to increase recruitment numbers. Director Hugh Wilson heard a story about an actual police department that had to take all sorts of misfits as new recruits, and it became the perfect comedy setup. Now, the movie obviously took this to more extremes, but the premise of unqualified recruits becoming cops was not entirely fiction. I don't see Tackleberry there. Was he not in the first one?
He was.
He was.
No, I'm not seeing him in this.
He probably just wasn't there that day when they did the pictures. This was one of those movies when my parents first got separated, and our dad would let us rent movies on a Friday night. Like one of my brothers was looking at it, and my dad's like, "Yeah, if you want to get it, go ahead, get it." And like we got it, and it was one of those where it's like, boobies,
right?
Like, are we supposed to be watching this?
All right, fact or fiction? Michael Winslow, the sound effects guy, made all of his noises without any post-production effects. Frank. Actually, no, this time Lan. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Frank?
Sure.
Man, you'd have to nail it each time. I'm going to go fiction, just, I don't know if you can get it all.
Lan gets the point. Yeah, that's a fact. What was his name in the movies?
Sound Machine?
You guys don't remember?
I don't. I haven't seen it so long.
Larvell Jones.
No.
He did every single sound effect with his own voice. No special effects were added later. Winslow's ability to create sirens, helicopters, machine guns, radio static, and even full conversations using only his mouth made him a breakout star of the movies. His skills were so impressive that he later did voice work for cartoons, video games, and even airplane announcements. All right, next up, fact or fiction. The original Police Academy was rated R, but the sequels toned down the raunchiness for a younger audience. Frank, fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fiction. I don't think they were worried about a younger audience at that time.
All right, Lan, fact or fiction?
No, it's fact.
Lan gets the point. Yeah, and you knew this one was raunchy because it has Kim Cattrall in it, and she gets naked in everything.
Yeah,
the dog girl.
The first,
and then the sergeant lady gets naked, doesn't she?
Yeah, she rips her shirt off. You see her boobs.
The first Police Academy movie was rated R, featuring nudity, crude jokes, and raunchy humor. After it became a surprise box office hit, the sequels progressively became more family-friendly, aiming for PG-13 and then eventually PG ratings. By the later movies, most of the original cast was gone, and the franchise had shifted more towards the slapstick humor over edgy jokes. Next up, fact or fiction. The famous Blue Oyster Bar scene was actually improvised on set. Lan, fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Frank, fact or fiction?
No fact. It seems like an improvised kind of movie.
Lan with the point. It is fiction. The Blue Oyster Bar scene.
Set it up.
Where unsuspecting characters accidentally walk into a leather bar and end up dancing with bikers were scripted from the start. The choice of tango music was deliberate, and the bar joke became a running gag in multiple sequels. Now, the exact dance moves, they might have been spontaneous, but everything was pretty much already there, ready to go. Question for you guys. Have you ever accidentally walked into the wrong place, like walked into the wrong bar?
Nope.
Like, what do you consider the wrong bar?
Well,
the one that you're not supposed to be at.
I know that...
Because, well, I mean, I got a story about being, like, told to leave one.
Okay, not that.
But it was...
No.
Well,
okay, so here's think of this. So there used to be a bowling alley right down the street from my house. And then right next door was a strip club called... Lan?
Oh, are you talking about here?
Yeah, in Portland.
Oh, okay.
Remember? It was like the double wide, had shag carpet. Beaver's Inn.
No, I don't remember.
Beaver's Inn.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay.
So when we were in high school, we would go bowling, like on Friday nights, especially during the wintertime during basketball season. We would there'd be a basketball game, and then everybody would go bowling. So once we go bowling, there was a couple of buddies who went over to the Beaver's Inn, and they were like, the second they walked in that door, like there was no bouncer, no nothing, and like it was like a record scratch, and every head just went, like immediately fucking stared at them, and they just fucking walked out. That's what I mean by the wrong place, not being asked to leave.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it was. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like that, but we were asked. Like, well, I shouldn't say we were asked to leave. So here's the story. So there was this bar that was open across the street that we had never been to before, and they're playing loud music. Normally, would have like a live band. We always thought about going there. It was like a little dive bar. So we decided one time before going to our main bar, hey, let's just go across the street and check this one out, see what it's all about. Doors wide open. We walk in. There's literally nobody in there except for like one person and the bartender. And we walk in. We're kind of just looking around, checking the place out. We come up to the bar and we're sitting there, and they're not really serving us any or coming to us and talking to us. And finally, we're just like, hey man, are we gonna get any service? And the guy turns and looks at us and goes, oh yeah, we're not open yet. And we're like, what? And they go, yeah, we're not open. And we're like, the door's wide open, you're playing music, this woman here's drinking a beer, like it's 10 o'clock. So we just took it as we weren't welcome there, and we're like, okay, well,
Interesting.
bye. And just left and never went back.
All right, fact or
Fuck
fiction.
you.
Steve Guttenberg originally turned down the role of Mahoney and only took it after Bill Murray recommended it to him. Frank, fact or fiction?
One more time.
Steve Guttenberg originally turned down the role of Mahoney and only took it after Bill Murray recommended it to him.
I'm gonna go fiction on that.
Lan, fact or fiction?
Fact? Does he even know Bill Murray?
Frank gets the point. That is fiction. Steve Guttenberg was always interested in the role of Carrie Mahoney, the charming prankster lead of Police Academy. While Bill Murray was never involved, Guttenberg has said he based his Mahoney performance on Murray's comedic style, particularly his roles in Stripes and Caddyshack. Guttenberg went on to star in 4 of the movies, but left the franchise after Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Oh, he missed Police Academy 5, Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Which is the one that they go to Russia?
6.
Jesus. You know what? I'm looking that up real quick. I want to see how many
I was
there
gonna say
are.
I went down a Guttenberg rabbit hole because you remember when the fires happened, like he was interviewed and the guy didn't recognize
Oh yeah,
who
the
he
guy.
was.
Yeah, that's right.
And because he was moving all the cars. And,
He's like,
and
do
I
you
was
live
watching,
here? And he's like, yeah, I live right over there. And what's your name, sir? And he's like, Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah. I'm talking to Steve Guttenberg here. Like,
Had
but
no clue.
I went down a rabbit hole, and one of them was about his early life, about going to Hollywood. And he had first went there, gotten a few commercials, got a small role in some film, and then just wasn't getting anything. Went back home, and then was offered this role for Police Academy and took it. So that's how I knew that it wasn't that Bill Murray wasn't really involved, besides trying to act like him.
Yeah, there are 7 total movies. It went Police Academy, then Police Academy 2, their first assignment, Police Academy 3, Back in Training, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, then Police Academy 5, Assignment, Miami Beach,
There you
Police Academy 6, City Under Siege, which, by the way, that directed by Peter Boners. And then the final one is Police Academy Mission to Moscow.
Well, that Police Academy 5 is the one that had David Spade in it.
Yeah,
and that's also where
Citizen on Patrol had David Spade.
I thought it was the beach, but then they had that was the one. I think it was one where Tackleberry though goes into the water and puts the gun up to the shark's nose, and like the shark turns around and leaves. That's the only role that guy could get. I didn't realize he died. And
David Spade was in Citizens on Patrol.
I didn't realize that dude Tackleberry died in I think like 99 or 2000. Like he died.
Can we fact check that? Because Frank's
no, I do. No, that one I know he did. Unless because I specifically remember when he did pass away. That was one of the first times I was like, wow, that guy seemed really young. Like,
yeah, I
it
think he
kind
had
of blew
like
my
a heart
mind.
attack or something, but I didn't realize he was dead until I saw something like 10 years after he died. I was like, holy shit, that
Yeah,
guy died?
David Graff passed away in 2001. He was 50
There you
years
go.
old.
I'm just saying we should fact check all of the people that Frank says.
Oh, don't worry, we will. We will be fact checking everything that comes out of Frank's mouth at this
By the
point.
way,
Hey, did
George
you know
Clinton, I
about this
saw him.
alien abduction? What?